more than 5.
All right.
I can't say enough about how much this man has influenced me. He has been a champion, and I want to thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
You have been fantastic
Thank you.
in every way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try to live up to that. I don't think I'll make it, but I'll try. I'm going to be brief, but I do want to leave you all with something that you can think about, and even as the years of your life unfolds, that you may even come back to reflect on. Part of what I want to speak about, we're engulfed in a society where violence is the major tool that is used to communicate with, to in many instances to take, whether it's a nation invading another nation, whether it's on an individual level. People are doing things to each other, and they seek violence as one of the ways to answer or resolve a lot of their conflicts. Part of my background, again, my name is Herman Smalls. I'm a fitness specialist. Part of what I do is martial arts. Now, has anyone here studied martial arts at all? Any kind of arts? Okay, good. In martial arts, it's great for physical fitness, but martial arts is open-handed combat. It's the ability to defend yourself, but also it's the ability to inflict physical harm. With that in mind comes certain responsibilities that a good teacher will impose on you, or they'll even assess you before they start teaching you. The men I've studied under are some very dangerous men that know maybe a couple of dozen ways to end human life with their bare hands, which doesn't sound like a nice thing. But before they even begin to teach these things, they teach a level of humility and restraint. They say violence, if ever used, is always the last resort, and it's only used in defense of your life or the life of someone dear to you. This principle is so lost in some of the geopolitical decisions related to preemptive strikes and preemptive wars, and a lot of times nations go into other nations, in many instances under the guise of just claiming those people's resources. And they give all these wonderful political, we're going there for the people, we're giving them democracy. And in many instances, the nation we live in is a major purveyor of that. Even I got a little ahead of myself. It's an honor to even be speaking on this campus, because one of the men who last spoke here publicly is one of the major figures in African American history. And I'm sure most of you know, Barnard was the last place to invite Malcolm X to come and speak. And I hope you know that it was the students that were the driving force behind getting Malcolm to come, and a very progressive faculty that saw the benefit, because that time was very tumultuous. The country was gripped in racial tension. There were global conflicts, and upon him speaking, they had the top row of Lafrac Gym rode with armed police. They had armed personnel throughout. There was screening before you got in. But with all of that, the young people still said this is a man they wanted to have come in to hear his thoughts. And I was speaking with Professor Dalton earlier. It's like, where is that fire that people your age at that time, yes, this is back in the 60s, but they were willing to hear such an opposing view from many of the things that they grew up hearing. And that's still a responsibility that you all have. We live in a country that we have a leader, we have a president that is expressing himself in ways that no matter how you look at it, it's never been done before. It has a level of arrogance to it. It has a level of confrontation to it, rather hostile even. So with leadership like that, in many instances, that trickles down to the younger society. It's your responsibility if you choose to take it, because the knowledge you're getting, your life is ahead of you. If you do not choose to steer our society in a better place, if you just become complacent and go along to get along, our future looks bleak. So I don't know what are the issues that are close to your hearts, or what are some of the things that you want to commit to. But as early as possible, if you can find a purpose and a reason to give your energy and your life force, I'm sure with the credentials you're going to get from this establishment, you're going to be able to hold down some of the best jobs, some of the best careers. I know a successful life awaits you. But beyond material gain, we do have to have in mind the responsibility we have to the larger society. And if you all take a little bit of that and really hold on to what you want to do as an individual, and then join a group, and then join an organization, and be passionate about making the society we live in as best as possible, then the future will be that much brighter. Again, back to the martial arts. So if you have a skill and you know how to inflict so much damage, the first responsibility is restraint. People are going to say things to you. People are going to approach you. People are going to conduct themselves in ways that are offensive to you. Now, with a certain amount of skill, you would think, okay, what you said, let me go just inflict some pain on someone who said something that was hurtful to me. But if we set up that kind of dynamic where violence or coming to a physical resolution for any or all of our problems, we end up in a society which is very much like we live in today. I'm not saying that defending yourself is not something you should always have in mind, but if you are the stronger, if you have the greater resources, if you have the greater insight, whatever responsibilities or whatever attributes that are given to you, I don't know if many of you have heard, to whom much is given, much is required. So this is still one of the most affluent societies on the planet. There are resources, opportunities, there are so many advantages that you all have and will have that people in other parts of the world can't even dream of attaining. So with that kind of attribute and benefit comes the responsibility of caring for those other inhabitants of the planet. So if I can just impress upon you all to, as you move forward, have that in mind. Some of you are probably already doing it in the associations that you're a part of here. But again, this is the college community. The big world awaits. So whatever political parties are going to join, or whatever statements they're going to make about world situations, is going to come through what you decide to become a part of and what you decide to build. So that's kind of the main thing I wanted to say. And again, back to the figure of Malcolm X, his life was so transformative. The reason it was so controversial to bring him here, because the earlier part of his career, he spoke on a situation related to African Americans that was very dire. And because of the level of racism that was just outright, he had a very aggressive approach as to how to resolve it. So many thought he would come in here and all he would do is just speak very violently about how to resolve the situation. But many were pleasantly surprised that he came and sat and spoke among young people and really taught. Much of what I'm trying to do a little bit of today, just kind of giving them some insight as to what their duty is and what their responsibility is. And as young people, duty and responsibility kind of don't sound like the two most fun words. You know, this is a good time to have fun and go to your parties and, you know, date and do all the fun stuff. But again, to whom much is given, much is required. So if there's anything related to a conflict that even now you might be working through in your personal life, in your business life, if you're beginning to start and look for a career, you always have to have in mind that there is a way to solve this without causing harm, and also solve it with a solution that would not just benefit you, but benefit anyone that would come behind you, anyone that's standing right next to you. We have to think about how our actions impact the rest of the world. And I know that might sound like a very weighty responsibility, but anything less than that in the day, in the time that we live in, is not going to take us to where we need to go. So I'm hoping those words were important. I'm hoping they had some kind of impact. I mean, I think I have a minute or two just for a question or two about any of that, or any questions that, as a young person, like, how do I do X if I'm faced with Y? what is the biggest dilemma that you all have, besides choosing what you're going to wear today, or what you might watch, or what you might study? What are some of the challenges? What did our generation not leave more of for you to work with? What are the failings in this society that you want to get your hands around? You want to say, you know what? If I had anything to say, I'm going to make this better by participating in different things. Does anyone want to share what their commitment is to what they want to do to make this world a better place?
Anybody have any questions? Here is the role model. I recommend a strong person who will share his wisdom.
And open and honesty, no matter how tough it is, because that's another thing we need now. We need open exchanges that are based on our truth. And truth can be even edgy at times. I think we've got a climate of political correctness that we talk around and by each other without talking to each other. So, and then Professor Dalton was kind enough to share that I believe most of you have not had an opportunity even to visit Harlem, a place where this school sits in. And that's a thriving community that is going through its transitions. So what do you want to know while you are here? And if I can share any insights or dispel any fears, any concerns, or shed any light about anything, any question that you may have had. Or sound like y'all got all the answers. Y'all know everything you need to know. Anything? Or you're pleased with the way the world is? Maybe everybody's happy. Are you happy the way it is?
No.
Okay, then what would be something that you would want to see a change in? And maybe what could you have a little part in it? Anybody?
Here is a guy, Herman is a person who can, as I said in my TED talk, overcome the wall that has been systematically not just tolerated by this university, but fostered and promoted. There is this wall that we can transcend, and you can help us to get over that wall and into that whole other world of African American culture that means so much to the country and to the world.
Those are your flyers.
Yes. And could you pass those around? Yeah, because there's a wealth of history right here in Harlem. It has put forth some of the greatest minds, some of the greatest entertainers, some of the greatest philosophers, writers. This little community that is just a spot on the planet has produced some of the greatest human beings that have impacted not just American society, but internationally. So if I can't do anything else, I would like to extend an invitation to you all. If you can do it collectively or in small groups, just come walk through. It's a very thriving and life-changing community that I think it would make you that much more the enlightened and dynamic individuals that you're developing and building yourselves to be. So,
Nice runner.
yes.
We don't set enough.
Okay, so please, you have the card. If you have any questions about fitness even, just please feel free to reach out. Thank you for giving me an audience and just having an opportunity to hear my words.
Herman, you couldn't have said that.
Thank you, Gold. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
These are the last doors that Malcolm X walked into when he gave his last public speech. This was 3 days before his unfortunate assassination, approximately 50 blocks from this location at the Audubon Ballroom. It was my honor to come and speak on this campus, Barnard, and to give insight and hopefully inspiration to some of the young people that I had an audience with today. I will always have a special place in my heart for Barnard because of their willingness to bring such a controversial figure at that time, but one of our great shining princes to this campus to inspire and teach the young that they had here in 1965, February 18th. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your viewership and continue to watch. Peace.